This story is about the time I realized I wasn't living life to my expectations at all. Around this time when I was having this realization, how was I? I was 20. Yeah, I was 20 years old, and I was staying in this motel, and my money was slowing up. Everything just wasn't right. My energy, I was on edge. Let me not forget to mention, I was on drugs at that time. The upper drugs. So I was on those. I was smoking weed, constantly trying to, neutralize the upper to try and get me to, not be on, edge all the time because of it. And then I was drinking also, a whole lot to keep that down, too, and smoking cigarettes. So, everything was just not right. But I'm not, in my mind, I'm I know it's not, but I don't know what it is. And then I'm on drugs, so I can't pinpoint what the problem is. I know drugs was the problem, but, it was something else. I didn't get what it was at the time. So, I'm, going through it, but I'm still hanging around, my peoples and stuff like that. And then, I'm noticing, whenever it came time to pay for our room. Well, not our room, because it was really my room. But, I was, the people I was with, some of them didn't have places to go, whatnot. So I'm okay, fine. It's cool. I don't mind it, And it's people who are close to me. So I didn't really mind it because who they were to me. But it was just getting to the point, every time I was asking, okay, so it's time to pay the room. What are we doing? Usually I would pay my room for a week up. But when people stay with me, I don't do that because I just have problems. So I was just if someone's going to stay with me, I'm not going to keep paying the room up for a week. It's just going to be day by day. And so I was doing that with them, and that kind of making it hard for me, only because I was kind of reliant on them. I was oh, okay, so I'm sharing the room with them, so I would only have to pay $15 since it was 3 of us in the room. And I'm okay, if I only have to pay $15, I won't have to worry about it. But every time I noticed, every time I was asking for their share, it was always oh yeah, I ain't got it, this and that. And I was it's cool, because me, I'm not gonna be let myself sleep outside. I'm not. So I would still pay it, but of course you're gonna feel my animosity. Of course you're gonna feel my energy, because this is not the first time that it's happened. And if you have something that needs to be paid on a daily basis, especially if it's going to put a roof over your head and give you somewhere warm to stay, you're going to put and set aside said money to make sure there's no problems. But that was not the case with said people I was with around the time. So, with me showing if you know me personally, and if I feel some type of way about something or somebody and the situation is not resolved, you're going to feel my energy about it. So I still had this lingering energy of I didn't really have an attitude. I didn't tell them I'm irritated with them. I was just moving differently. I was barely talking to them if they wanted to go out. They were making plans, and I wasn't including myself. I was excluding myself, because I'm they asked me to go out, and my response is, no, I can't go out. I need to go worry about making money so I can make sure this room is paid for. And maybe because it was what I said, that they took it as like, oh, she don't want us here, because the next morning when I asked for like, is like the room money from everybody's share, nobody had no share money or whatnot. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna go pay the room and whatnot. But then like, I don't know what everybody's gonna keep doing. So I don't got money to keep paying for like this whole thing. And that wasn't the agreement that we all agreed upon when you guys came to stay here with me. So I'm like, because the only reason why I was sharing the room, because they didn't have their IDs. So that's the only reason why we all was sharing the room in the first place. So the day goes on or whatever, it gets tonight. And then one of our mutual friends was like, hey, I got my off day. Me and my homegirl, want to hang out. And I'm like, nah, I'm cool. I'm busy, anytime I'm free, I'm always trying to make money. And if I'm not, then I'm doing something that needs to be done for myself. So I'm like, nah, I'm cool. I'm trying to make some money tonight, so I'm busy, whatnot. And come to find out that, I don't know, it was like some weird energy on how I found out some weird stuff. Like, they were planning to get a room, but not tell me that they was getting a room, which didn't make no sense. Like we're grown people, and the fact that, that we've known each other like our whole lives, literally, and you couldn't tell me that, oh, I'm just going to get my own room. It made me feel like, oh, they were using me from the start, because why be so secretive? It was like, oh, me saying I don't want to hang out with y'all tonight put the nail in the coffin for them to be like, oh, Ebony don't want us around, or we don't want Ebony around with her little attitude or whatever. I don't know. I'm just seeing it from my perspective. My perspective was they did some weird shit instead of just saying like, hey, we just gonna get in our room. Like, why would I be mad? Why would I be upset? Why would you have to not tell me that and then lie about not having room money, but go and get another room with somebody else? That makes sense. And then from you got another room, that was downstairs for me. That is how I found out you guys had another room, because I went outside to go throw something in the dumpster, and I seen our mutual friend's car parked down there. And then when she went into the room that she was staying in right there by her car, I heard these two people that was sharing the room with me laughing in there. And I'm like, that's weird. So I'm like, okay, so people want to be weird with me, but just a second ago, you was all in my face. But that's, if you knew the relationship between me and these people, I'm not really trying to say their name or whatnot, like what their relationship to me is, because it's just too personal. And I know I'm trying to be raw and open and honest, but I don't think I really came to terms with, like, maybe that's why I don't talk to these people to this day, is because of little things like the things that we went through in the past. But anyways, it's a whole nother story. So I ended up like just locking my door and whatnot and just leaving. And they ended up seeing me. One of them ended up seeing me, and she was like, oh, where you going? You going out? What or not? And I was like, yeah, I'm going out. I'm about to leave. They was like, oh, well, we about to go and do this. And I'm like, okay, you telling me because what? I didn't ask. You asked what I was doing. I told you. And that's what I was saying in my mind. I didn't say that to her face, but I was just saying to my mind. But like, I had a face on to where like, she was like, well, okay, I'm going to leave you because you seem like you got an attitude. And I'm like, if that's what you feel like I got, then that's, hey, take it as that. And like, they went on and whatnot, and they must have had like a little discussion about me, because when I get back to my room, the mutual friend that got the room for them downstairs came up and was like, hey, like, I don't, like, we had some type of weird energy because we had like a weird little thing going on between her and me and this dude, but it wasn't really a thing because me and the dude wasn't even in a relationship, and they made it seem like, I don't know, that's a whole nother story. But so that energy was still lingering from that situation. It was still lingering on. So, like, her approach to me was very subtle, very like, I'm just trying to see how you're feeling type of approach, and she's talking to me and whatnot, and then she's asking me if we have if I was mad, like, and I'm like, no, why would I be mad? And she was like, well, they seem to feel like you're mad at them, and then we get into this whole like lay down of what happened. And she's like, oh, okay, well, that makes more sense. She's like, well, I'm going to go tell him and whatnot. So she leave because we smoked the blunt just to talk about the little issue and whatnot. And when she left, she went downstairs and whatnot. And then they called me and they was like, oh, you don't want to come down here and party? I'm like, no, why would I want to come down there? And I have a room up here. Like, why don't y'all just come up to my room? Y'all been in my room partying this whole time. Now y'all don't because y'all got your own room. Like, at that time when they did that, like, I was butthurt all the way over again, and I just smoked the blunt. So I'm like, I'm just so irritated and confused. Like, things weren't making any sense for me, and like everything just felt weird. And then, but mind you, let me put this in your minds. From the time I woke up that day, I wasn't doing any type of drugs, so anything but weed. I did smoke weed and I drank a little. But other than the upper and stuff, like, I didn't do it. And because I just really wanted to focus. And I only really did uppers when I was going to go walk and get some money. That was the only time I wanted to be up. But other than that, if I wasn't getting any money, like, I didn't want to be on the upper, especially if I'm trying to figure something out. I do not need to be on something that's about to have my mind like at 1,000,000 miles per hour. No, thank you. So I'm sober, and sometimes I'm just talking to myself, just like replaying certain events that we didn't had with each other up to this moment. And I'm just like, yeah, everything is like, makes me feel like I'm the outsider. Like, they only, like, looking back on things, it made me feel like they only invited me because maybe I was around in the vicinity, or maybe because Ebony had the money, or maybe because they needed to use me in some type of way. Like, it was no other reason that I found for them wanting me around. And we kind of like not really got into it, but I kind of met this guy because like I just brushed it off at that point, because like I'm like, if I bring it up to them, we all like got bad weird energies right now. We all been drinking and stuff, so it's like if I bring it up, it's like gonna be not really worth it whatsoever, because we wasn't in our right minds to have heart talk, So I was just like, F that, move on. But like I said, I ended up meeting this guy. He's my first baby dad. We weren't together. We was just talking whatnot, but us talking, we were just around each other every day. And so with me and him being around each other, we were kind of like, oh, we want our own space. But I didn't really say it. They were all like, oh, we're going to give you guys your own space and whatnot. So I was like, okay, cool. So, like, they just got their own room with our mutual friend, just using her ID for them. And that's kind of how we all kind of, like, separated and went our different ways when I got with him. And that's the end of my story. How I realized life could be better for me.